New details tonight. Look at this goo, brown, green goo in the water in Pickens County. Ugh, this is a lake in the 3 and 20 watershed, to be exact, and it's being infested with algae that neighbors say is really taking over the area. And this is something they say they've been dealing with for years, but at least one resident tells us recent headlines about that toxic blue-green algae in southern waters really have them concerned. And right now we have no evidence of toxic algae in the upstate, but the 3 and 20 watershed tells us tests are being scheduled for these lakes to make sure they're safe.
In the meantime, some neighbors say they're staying away and keeping their animals out too, which they should. Fox Carolina's Matt Koufax went out to Pickens County today to talk with those neighbors and see what they had to say. He's back here in the studio. So, Matt, I think a lot of people are worried after seeing these reports of this algae.
Yeah, Cody, Tori, it certainly is not a pretty sight to look at, and there are 4 major lakes in the 3 and 20 watershed and a massive amount of smaller ponds, streams, and creeks that feed into them and eventually drain to Lake Hartwell and supply drinking water to numerous cities along the way and to that final destination. Officials I spoke to today say it's not time to be alarmed yet, but this issue could go deeper than how pretty someone's backyard lake looks.
There's some gunky junk right here that you're shooting for sure.
As the day wears on and the temperature rises, the smell and layer of slime on the surface can't be ignored.
By the end of the day, this whole area out here will look pretty much just like this.
Mark Bishop has lived in Pickens County for 39 years and been elected to the 3 and 20 watershed board for 12 of them.
Noticed them, didn't really know what they were, didn't really think a whole lot about it.
He's talking about algae blooms, thousands of them blanketing the lake behind his home.
What you're videotaping out here in the water continue to grow and spread, and now it's completely covering this lake, which is about 32 acres.
Bishop says it didn't always used to be this way. It's gotten worse in the last 5 years, and a headline about 3 dogs in North Carolina dying from toxic algae raised his red flag. It was him wanting to double check how safe the water is.
That's kind of what really made us think a little bit harder about what's going on right here.
We reached out to DHEC, who say the only current body of water with known toxic blue-green algae is in Fairfield County. But that's not stopping neighbors like Bishop and his wife from keeping their animals and themselves out until tests are done.
We were concerned about our own property, but I think it's much bigger than that.
Bishop says they're concerned pollution might also be a factor and points out this is a flowing lake, moving gradually to places like Anderson, where 200,000 people depend on it to be safe.
We're concerned that not only what's happening here is a problem, but what kind of effects is it going to have downstream.
Earlier this week, the Savannah Riverkeeper also warned Midlands residents to exercise caution after toxic lake algae was found just over the state line in Augusta.
I do think it's a bigger issue than just scum on our lake. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to look into what's going on and why.
And we are going to continue following this story. And even if the algae is harmless, Bishop says it's not something that they can continue to ignore. The 3 and 20 board the 3 and 20 board actually reached out to a lab in Greenville and are scheduling tests to see what exactly they're dealing with. DHEC calls poisonous algae harmful algae blooms, or HABs, and sent us this statement. You're about to see it on your screen in just a moment. In it, they say if there's even a small possibility the water that you're swimming in or that your pet is in could contain a HAB, you need to rinse immediately and not let your pet lick themselves until they've also been rinsed as well. They say to seek medical attention if you're feeling any odd symptoms after swimming. And meanwhile, they also say it's possible algae will continue to bloom until these temperatures cool down. Cody, Tori, back to you.